Live Young seminar. Are you ready to live young and longer with New Skin, organized by New Skin Singapore? I'm Shalene, your host for this evening. Tonight, I'm happy to tell that we have a crowd of close to 500 attendees in this ballroom. This is a good sign, as it's telling me more and more Singaporeans are realizing the importance of aging gracefully and living young to lead a quality lifestyle. Do you know that, in fact, 1 in every 5 of us will be over 65 years old by 2030. Hence, there's no better time than now to equip ourselves, to empower ourselves with methods to help us to slow down biological aging, helping us to live young and longer, enjoying a life of freedom to do what we want. Time freedom, financial freedom is all we are looking for. In this seminar, New Skin Singapore will give you the answer to your ageless quest. And let us all learn about the science and the secret of you from our speaker today. And before we move on, I would like to invite our New Skin Singapore Director of Digital Success, Ms. Yeo Chiu Yi, to give us her opening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome her on stage.
Hello, good evening everyone. Wow, it's so great to see many of you. Is it too loud? No? Okay. Yeah, so great to see all of you because I know many of our builders, we just came back from a great success seminar last Saturday, right? Yeah, it was a great event with almost 3,000 people, and we were there to witness how, our business in Malaysia and Singapore has grown. So let me share some of the amazing results. You don't need this picture, you already have me on stage. Where should I? Okay, now, for those who are coming here for the first time, maybe just put up your hand, let me know who are attending here for the first time. A big welcome to all of you. Okay, we are really happy that you are here with us. And I'm also here to share some amazing results of New Skin Singapore. New Skin Singapore is one of the leading direct selling companies in Singapore. Okay, for some of you who may have encountered direct selling or who may have encountered New Skin and have people telling you that Singapore is already a saturated market. So think twice, look at these numbers. For 11 consecutive quarters, okay, Singapore has experienced continuous growth year over year. Okay, so congratulations for these fantastic results. And if you look at our key business indicators, okay, we look at how, the number of new people that are joining us, comparing this year versus last year, okay, we can see that there is a increase of 41% of new people joining us. Why did these new people join us if the market is saturated? Yeah, ask yourself that. And we have an increase of 22% of past LI, meaning people who have decided, okay, to take up this business opportunity with us. Okay, we have had 22% more of them this year compared to last year. And of course, new exec numbers and total executive numbers also showing double-digit growth. These are people who are already getting good rewards from the New Skin business opportunity. So these numbers will prove those people who said that Singapore is already a saturated market wrong. Do you agree with me? Yes? And just very recently, New Skin was awarded this fastest growing company award. This is the second time that we are receiving this award. And we received this award on the basis that, we are experiencing the third consecutive year of growth in our revenue. And for last year, for those of you who may already know, we have achieved US $1.54 billion in revenue, another record year of revenue. So congratulations again. I think these results are, a testimonial of how much our distributors, are profiting or are getting good rewards, from the New Skin business opportunity. But then again, our growth is not just packed or not just tied to revenue growth. Okay, as our CEO Truman Han says, we are now, okay, in the New Skin 2.0 era. And by the New Skin 2.0 era, what are our goals? Okay, we want to achieve US 5 billion in revenue, and by that, it means that every year we will pay out another US 2 billion in commissions. Okay, we want to create 2,500 millionaires, and by millionaires, we mean that, the distributors is receiving at least US $1 million in commissions, not sales. Okay, some company they calculate by sales achievement, but ours is by commissions. Yeah, and at the same time, again, it's not just about commissions and sales. We want to reach out to 50 million children around the world through our Force for Good Foundation. So do you want to work with this kind of company? Yeah, I'm sure you all do. So in our plan, okay, to go double, to achieve, okay, the New Skin 2.0 era, we want to bring every one of you to Hawaii. Who have been to Gold Coast last year? A show of hands. So who wants to go to Hawaii next year? I give you one more chance. Who wants to go Hawaii next year? Yes, I'm sure we will. We are really in a fantastic phase of growth. For people who are really here today for the first time, okay, please get the distributor who brought you here to share with you more. I'm only given 5 minutes, I can't share much. But they have a lot to share with you. And of course, today we have a very, very special guest flying all the way here from US, Dr. Mark Bartlett. We really want to thank him. Please help me, okay, to give him a big hand. Yeah, I think because of Mark, we really have this fantastic product. And I think it's not just a product. Okay, because of HLOC, because of him, okay, now our CEO say we are not just in the direct selling business. And direct selling business is already 100 years old. But he dared to say that we're not just in the direct selling business. We want to be the leader of the anti-aging industry. And I think we are. Alright? So with that, I hope you will enjoy tonight's evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chui, for her motivating speech. In anti-aging science, New Skin team of scientists is definitely leading the way. HLOC science is the answer to anti-aging. It is the scientific breakthrough that goes beyond the science, that target the ultimate source of aging. I have an exciting video to play today to show you the power of HLOC. Please sit back and relax to enjoy the video. Like the last message in the video, tonight I hope everyone will walk out with this ballroom with the message that you are ready to live young with HLOC and New Skin. So tonight, we have invited a special speaker all the way from United States, as mentioned by Chewy. He's none other than our Live Young scientist who oversees research and development for all Pharmanex products that you are taking already. His name is Dr. Mark Bartlett. He holds a degree in biochemistry and organic chemistry and a PhD in immunology and cell biology. He has extensive research experience in area of cardiovascular disease with emphasis on the role of free radicals and antioxidants, transplant research, and human autoimmune inflammatory diseases. Dr. Mark's interest in the role of nutrition in human health and diseases led him to join Nu Skin as a technical specialist and scientific advisor, formulating many supplements and sport food products for many countries globally. Without further ado, please join me to welcome this remarkable scientist, Dr. Mark Bartlett, our Vice President of Global Research and Development for Pharmanex.
Thank you, thank you. 大家好。请问这个会的每个人都会说普通话吗？Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm going to speak English this entire meeting, I promise. Well, I'm sure that many of you are on Facebook, right? Yeah, isn't that fun? I really enjoy it. One of the reasons I enjoy it so much is because I've been away from my home country, Australia, for nearly 20 years now. And every now and then I get a contact from an old friend that I knew in high school or even primary school, and it's really fun to see their faces. Sometimes I look and I go, wow, you look the same. I can still remember how they looked and they haven't changed all that much. But then there are some people that you look at them and you go, oh wow, did we get that old, right? Have you ever noticed that some people look way younger than their years would suggest? You know how old they are and you go, wow, they look way younger. I actually see more of that here in Asia than I do in America. But that did get the Nu Skin scientists asking the question several years ago. Why is it that some people look really, really good for their years and some people not so much, right? What's the heart of that? What's the source of the aging equation? And it makes you wonder if it's not just about your lifestyle, but the luck of the draw, your genetics, right? So tonight I want to talk about aging, and specifically the sources of aging. So age lock, you've heard that word used a lot. I hope I can explain it tonight. Age lock is really a strategy, a scientific strategy, as well as a marketing platform, right? It's several things. But the basics is that we target the sources of aging, not just the signs and the symptoms. So that's why you see this target here. Our competitors mostly look at the signs and the symptoms, but all that science that you see that we are doing, it's because we're trying to target the source, to really try to understand why we age. Why does our skin age? What happens? Why does our whole body age, inside and outside? And try to discover how to slow that down. That's the goal, right? So that's the age lock goal. Now, before we go any further, I don't know what you expect from me tonight. You invited a scientist to come and talk to you. Maybe you should have invited a marketer to come and talk to you. A lot of people sort of think, okay, he's a PhD, he's one of the scientists, so it's going to be really heavy. Get out your notebooks, be prepared to learn some science. Is that why you're here tonight? Not really. I don't expect that. This is not a continuing education source for genetics or anything like that. Okay? So tonight, just relax. It's not going to be heavy on science. But there will be some science tonight. But the goal is not to make you scientists. You can succeed in changing people's lives and being a force for good in the world without being a technical scientist geek, right? But what you need to change people's lives, to get them to change their habits and to be healthy and beautiful, is passion. You need a conviction that what you represent is real. Otherwise, you won't be able to change people's lives. Do you agree? So tonight, the goal is that we can walk away from this meeting knowing that new skin is real, it's a real opportunity, but my job is to help you to feel passionate and to really have a conviction that the science is real. You don't need to be able to explain it in technical terms, but you need to be passionate and you need to have confidence and trust that the company has real science, right? So let's just do that. And even if at the end of the meeting you say, you know what, I don't understand a word he said, but I believe the company has good science and it's real, then we're good. All right? So let's start with the sources of aging and healthy aging. I think you know that we began Nu Skin with a personal care product, right? Blake Roney and his sister and who else? A couple of friends, another brother. They thought about personal care products. And they said, you know, a lot of them have good ingredients, but they're being carried by bad ingredients like, you know, petrol-type-based chemicals or ethanol. So their goal was to produce a product that had all of the good and none of the bad. Has anyone been with the company long enough to remember that slogan? Right. So they came out with personal care products. They actually achieved that goal, and it wasn't easy. But people felt the difference and saw the difference immediately. So they were fantastic personal care products. But it wasn't too long before we realized that there were some people that no matter how good these products were, you just couldn't help them. Was that because they had bad genetics? Good products just didn't look good. Why do you think that was? Well, if you don't have adequate micronutrition, if you don't have all the nutrients that you need for your body to build the collagen and the elastin and to have healthy skin, healthy hair and nails, then even if the products are good that you put on the outside, it doesn't work the best. So, Nu Skin came out with a product, a personal care product that you take inside, and it's called Image HNS, Hair, Nails, Skin. You remember that product? I think we still have it some places. But the fundamental concept was you need beauty from the inside as well. You need good nutrition. And actually that was a groundbreaking concept because 20 years ago there was no such word as cosmeceutical. But that's what they're starting to discover today. And so you see some of the beauty companies, right, with a product now. We got a great idea, let's give a product, beauty from the inside. Nu Skin did that 20 years ago. But that gave birth to another division or another brand in the company. And that company was first called Interior Design Nutritionals. So that meant you're redesigning your looks from the inside. So now we have that concept. We have personal care, we also have nutrition. Nutrition is the basis of any anti-aging strategy. Your body has to have the nutrients that it needs to protect the DNA, to protect the skin, and without that you will age more quickly. This is now established science. You need to be able to protect your genome from damage. You need to be able to repair the genes and the DNA. You need to be able to protect and repair the proteins in your skin and the rest of your body. So do you agree this is a great place to start? This is where we begin. Now, it wasn't too long before we also, as we looked into the sources of aging, realized that to further protect your body and prevent aging, you also need something called antioxidants. So we looked at the antioxidant science, and I think you'll agree that this is where the nutrition side of the company really began to excel. We had very comprehensive antioxidants and nutrition, and even the way to measure that in the body non-invasively with the biophotonic scanner. Another breakthrough in science that, even today I've got, after doing the Dr. Oz show recently and showing the world the biophotonic scanner, and it's linked to health and diet, we had various doctors call us, and even today I was arranging to get a scanner to one of these cancer research organizations. So a great deal of interest in measuring antioxidants because they're indicators of protecting your body from aging. Now, also, healthy weight is definitely a part of the anti-aging strategy, right? As we know from caloric restriction science and from virtually all of the signs of aging. If we're overweight, then we are on a more rapid course of aging. Because as we're overweight, things get out of balance. The body's lipids get out of balance, the body's blood sugars get out of balance, right? And we've seen that people who have lost weight, really it's not just about a beauty strategy, it's a longevity strategy. As you lose weight and your lipids normalize and your blood sugars normalize, then you actually then have a much better chance of living a long and healthy life. So that's why the basics is found in nutrition, but also not getting too much nutrition, right? As in macronutrients, not too much fat, not too much protein, not too much carbohydrates, basically eating right. And just to sort of indicate where we are when it comes to being overweight and our aging potential, have a look at this biophotonic scanner results. This is from 2.5 million people. And you see that the people who are average are there in the middle. Those are the people who eat 2 or 3 servings of fruits and vegetables. Average people, kind of average health. We don't want to be there, right? We don't want to be average when it comes to health, because that means we're going to be aging faster. What about those people who smoke? You see where they are on the curve of antioxidants? Yeah, they don't have much protection. They're destroying their antioxidant protection and they're aging faster. Do you see the people that are overweight where they are? Right next to smokers. So it's very important not to overeat. That's really a strong basics, and to watch our body, watch our health. Obviously, again, this is a foundation for good health. And that's why we have a program that's doing so well here in Southeast Asia called TRA, which stands for the right approach, right? A lot of things have been tried. Most of the things that you see on the market when it comes to weight loss are a pill, not a program, right? Just a pill. We have never done that at Nu Skin. We know that really you need a program. And those pills, there can be good science behind them, but there's no magic pill. And in fact, we found that sort of one strategy doesn't work for everyone. You need a strategy that can work for everyone. And there's a lot of science and a lot of practice and experience that's gone behind this system that we call the right approach. The right nutrition, okay, knowing what to eat. And I think here we do the 3-3-3-3, right? Yes. Yeah. So just simple guidelines as to how to eat right, the right kind of nutrition. And over a period of 3 months, you can develop any habit. You can develop a bad habit in 3 months. And 3 months is also enough to get rid of a bad habit and to establish a new habit. Habits that need to be formed so that you can go for the rest of your life. The right supplements, and I'll talk about those in the next slide. They can help. They can help in all sorts of areas to make it easier for you to lose weight and to stay and maintain a healthy weight. The right exercise. You don't have to be crazy about exercise, right? You don't have to be in the gym all day, every day. And in fact, we know that it's so much easier to get the calories in than to get it out, isn't it? Do you know how many calories you burn if you run a mile? 2 kilometers or so? It's about 100 calories per mile. That doesn't sound like much, does it? How long does it take you to run a mile? Right, so I don't know how much calories is in a candy bar. It's about 150, 200 calories. Can you imagine having to run 2 kilometers after eating each candy bar? Yeah? So it's really much easier to control your diet by 3-3-3-3 rather than exercise all the time, right? Exercise is important because it keeps your blood sugar levels right, so moderate exercise is part of a good strategy. But we don't make that the focus. It makes it too difficult, right? You've got to focus on the right end. And the right tools to monitor. We are uniquely positioned because we have the biophotonic scanner. We know from our studies, and we've spent a lot of money on human clinicals to understand this, that just the stress of knowing that you're on a weight loss program is enough to drive your antioxidant score down. Did you know that? Yeah, just the stress of it. So it's really important to keep the micronutrient nutrition. Eat fruits and vegetables, take Life Pack, and monitor. And then you know that you're on a healthy path. The other very important tool to monitor is body fat. Because guess what? we want to lose the fat, right? We don't want to lose the muscle. We don't want to lose just water, just bone mass. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, the supplements consist of a number of approaches, and I won't go into great detail here. Controlling the carbohydrate cravings, helping to burn or boost thermogenesis, a number of things that you can do. These supplements are there to support and to help healthy weight loss and motivation and comfort while you go on this program. We have a lot of science behind it, but also a lot of recognition because of the science that has gone behind this program. Of course, our products are developed using a very stringent standard and protocol called the 6S process. We've also won some awards. Some of our products have been analysed right here in Singapore and have passed their slimming agents tests. So they're pretty strict in Singapore, stricter than most places in the world. So that's a really good, I'd say for you, confidence that you're on a healthy weight loss plan, right? We've won some biotech awards for our products. That's pretty cool. Taiwan has recognized us for that. We have a patent. So we're the only weight loss strategy that has a patent like this. That's pretty important. You can't just go and patent anything. Did you know you can't just put together a bunch of ingredients and then apply for a patent? They'd never give it to you. The patent examiners actually look for things that are unique and unexpected, and they have a barrier that you need to pass in order to get that patent granted. So that should also instill confidence in you. And finally, remember we have the scanner that nobody else has so that you can monitor your antioxidant score. And right, okay, so this is sort of the basics, not too scientific here. Where what our competitors are doing, with weight loss mostly, and what we're doing, what those differences are. So our competitors really strive to just reduce weight. Just get on the scale, see if you're losing weight. Some, right now, that are doing sort of hormone injections and things like that, they actually, before you start the diet, they say, you know what, before you start the diet, if it's really going to work, you need to load up on calories. You know, what you're going to do is you're going to reset your body so that this diet plan works for you. So for the first week, I want you to eat as much as you can. Eat, eat, eat. And at the end of that week, we're going to weigh you. That's going to be your baseline. Seriously. This is what the HCG diet says. And they say, you know, you need to do this because otherwise you can't reset your hormones. Do you think they're tricking you? You bet they are. Because then after the first week when they weigh you, when you're 100 kilograms or 200 kilograms or something, then after that first week, what are you going to lose? A bunch of water, a bunch of stuff that's been sitting in your gut, and you get on the scales and you go, wow, I lost weight, I lost like 2 kilograms in the first week. Right? Of course you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose water, and then if you continue on those diets, often you also lose muscle mass. The strategy really should be to focus on healthy weight loss, and actually it's fat loss that you want to lose. You want to build your muscles. Why do you want to build muscle? If you've got a lot of muscle, muscles require a lot of energy to maintain them. So even when you're sitting there watching TV or doing your work, those muscles are burning energy. So that's increasing your basic metabolic rate. That means in an average day you're burning more calories even without doing work. So you can't afford to lose the muscle. You have to keep that. Our strategy is actually increasing metabolism, building muscles, and it's sustainable and long-term. The end result is that you lose fat, not muscle and bone and water. Okay? So that's the healthy strategy. And really, this is the indication that it's working. Even if you forget all of the science, it needs to be sustainable, and people need to see results. If you see results, then by word of mouth, by people just seeing how good you look, more and more people will join you, right? And the indicators are that that's what's going on here in Singapore. People are joining you. Otherwise, we wouldn't see these green bars getting bigger and bigger, right? Right now, I think that about half of the revenue of the company here in Singapore is on TRA. Is that right? Yeah. So it's working. People know it's working, and that's why the success is building. And there are a lot of sort of testimonials that will tell you that this is working. Isn't that great? All right, so that's the foundation of healthy aging. Maintaining a healthy body weight, good nutrition and antioxidants. All right? The next question is that question that I introduced right at the beginning. What is the role of genes in aging? Let's get back to some new horizons in aging, shall we? Are you stuck with your genes because you're a certain way? You know, you get half your genes from your mum and half from your dad, right? And you take on the characteristics of your mother and your father. My father had blue eyes, I have blue eyes, right? My mother was a bit shorter than my dad, I'm not as tall as my dad. So I'm sort of a nice hybrid of the pair of them. My dad is aging really well as he gets older. I'm not sure if I am so much. Maybe I've got some other genes there. But I guess the question is, am I stuck because of my parents, because of the way that they aged or any diseases that they might have had? Is there anything I can do to change that? Because if I can't change that, that's kind of depressing. That makes me feel like I have no power over my destiny. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But either way, we have suspected for some time, and the evidence is building, that your lifestyle, your diet, the level of stress that you have, all of those things affect gene expression. And so the question is how much? And the problem is that there's no way to measure it. It's sort of like pre-scanner, where you couldn't measure gene expression and the effect of lifestyle on the gene expression. So we haven't been able to do much about it. Now, before I go any further, I want to go back to some basics on genes and gene expression. By the end of the night, you'll be experts, and if you're not, you'll be passionate, right? Here's the cell. Our body is made up of trillions of cells, right? Whether it's our heart cells, our brain cells, liver cells, muscle cells, that's the basic building block of the body, is the cell. And virtually all of the cells in the human body, except for a couple like red blood cells, have a grey spot in the middle called the nucleus. It's a place that's separated from the rest of the cell, and it contains the chromosomes. What are the chromosomes? The chromosomes are basically the packing, the way that the DNA is packed into the cell. So they look like little X's right there, but if you unravel those chromosomes, then you get a strand of DNA. And that strand of DNA has sections along it called genes, right? So you've got the DNA, you've got genes. How many genes are in the human genome? About 25,000. There's a lot, right? Something happened this century that really paved the way to understanding aging at a new level. And that is that we were able to, not Nu Skin, but many scientists around the world, after about 20 years and $20 billion, was able to completely decode and sequence the human genome. Well, what do I mean by that? Because this is a major breakthrough, so it's sort of nice to be able to understand what that really means, right? This is what the code looks like. The human genome, basically, that strand of DNA has letters going along it. It really is just like a book. It's like a book that is written on one continuous sentence that goes for miles. Now the code has 4 letters, sorry. There are 4 letters in the code. So just imagine that your alphabet, I know the Chinese don't really have an alphabet. I guess there's pinyin, right? Imagine an alphabet with 4 letters. And imagine a language that only has 3-letter words. That's exactly how the DNA is encoded. You have 4 letters in the language and 3 letters in each word. How many words? How many letters? 3.2 billion letters. And scientists basically now have all of those letters in the right order. That means 1 billion words. Now, just to give you an idea of what that is, that's like 800 Bibles. That's a lot of information. And it is like a book. It's not like a blueprint. This is a linear sequence of letters that make sentences, and those sentences make up recipes. Each gene is like a recipe for a protein. So in essence, what the scientists have done is they have allowed us as a species for the first time to be able to read our own recipe book to create and to maintain a human body. Is that not amazing? What's amazing is that this huge file of information is in every single nucleus of every cell that is small enough to fit on the size of a pin. So this is the most widely published book in the universe, isn't it? Because we've got like hundreds of trillions of cells in your body, and there are how many people living on Earth? Like 7 billion or something? It's a big book, a lot of copies of it, right? So, major breakthrough. We can now read the code, we have the recipe book to create and to maintain the human body. And when this happened, simultaneously around the world you had Blair in England, the Prime Minister, stand up, and we had Clinton in the US, and they stood up at the same time and they said, we've cracked the code, and we expect in 10 years to see major breakthroughs in disease understanding. We're going to understand cancer. We're going to be able to apply medicine in a way that we haven't ever done it before. And you're going to start to see some cures. Well, that was more than 10 years ago. Have you seen any major results? It's been very disappointing. But don't be too hard on the scientists, okay? Because remember I told you how much information is there? How are we going to decode that? We're talking 25,000 recipes, billions of letters in the code, billions of words, and now we have to make some sense of all of that information. So scientists are really sort of studying one gene at a time, and it's a big task. To help you understand a little bit more, I'll use an analogy. In the 1700s, they discovered these hieroglyphics in Egypt, right? They could see them written on the walls, the pillars, the pyramids, on the coffins, and everyone wondered what it said. What kind of science is hidden there? What kind of history? Mathematics? Are there some things, some secrets that we don't know? Nobody could read that hieroglyphic code. There was no way to translate it. But people thought that they could, and there were some brilliant people that dedicated their lives to trying to crack this code. Scientists were asked to completely record the entire hieroglyphics as they found it. Where did you find it? What does it say? Let's copy it all down and catalog it. That's what they did, but nobody could read it. That's where we are with the human genome. They've cataloged it all. We know all the genes, but nobody can read it. Except for maybe one gene at a time, or really interpret it, right? So, there was a man called Jean-Francois Champollion, a Frenchman, and he was a smart guy. By the time he was, how old did I say? He was 5 years old. He could read fluently ancient Greek and Latin. A lot better than I can speak Chinese, right? So he's reading the classics, those novels like Homer's Odyssey, in the ancient languages. Pretty amazing for a 5-year-old, right? By the time he was 16, he spoke 12 languages, but all of them dead. Kind of a geek, this guy, right? He could speak ancient Egyptian and Coptic, Chaldaic, Assyrian, ancient Persian, all of those old languages, because he thought there's going to be some secrets there that will help him to decode this, and that would make him famous, and besides, he's curious. But he could not do it until something happened. A discovery of a stone in the Nile Delta in 1799. You know what that stone is? The Rosetta Stone. And what's unique about the stone is that it has 3 languages written on it, and they're all the different languages, but they say the same thing. So it has Coptic and hieroglyphics and ancient Greek. And of course, who could read Coptic and ancient Greek? Jean-Francois Champollion. So they dragged the stone. They FedExed that stone to Jean-Francois Champollion. FedEx got it to him in a short amount of time. And he was able to, within a year, use that to completely decode all of the hieroglyphics. So what we need then to understand aging with all of this information in the human genome is we need Jean-Francois Champollion for genetics, right? And we need a Rosetta Stone. And that's what we have. we discovered that just recently. And we have, here is Jean-Francois Champollion and his twin brother, here and here. Right? Richard Weinrich, who is a gerontologist. He's been studying aging for 30 years. He's one of the few scientists that is studying how to slow the aging process so that we can live longer. And he's having some major breakthroughs. This guy over here, Thomas Proller, a Brazilian, is a geneticist. He actually comes out of Lester Packer's lab. And for years he's been looking at genetics and cancer. But his passion, what he really wanted to study and apply genetics to, was the aging process. But he didn't have anyone that he could work with. There was no lab in the world working on genetics and aging. Until he discovered that he was at the same institution as Weinrich. And he got together with Weinrich and he said, there's some new technology that will allow us to interpret the human genome. It's called the gene chip. We need to work together and we need to study aging using this new technology. Now, what does this technology do? Do you have CSI here in Singapore? Is that a cool program? Okay. In that program, they take advantage of a technology that actually is able to sequence DNA, right? The DNA sequence doesn't change, it stays the same. So your DNA is very different to mine, right? And everyone's DNA is a little bit different. So in CSI, what's really cool is they can isolate cells from under the fingernails of the victim, and they can sequence the DNA and match it to a database and find out who the killer was, right? You know, that's old science now. Really? That may seem cool, but the new science is the gene chip. Because the gene chip, it's actually much more sophisticated. Remember I said there are 25,000 genes, and each gene is really like a recipe book. And not all of the genes are open at the same time. Not all those recipe books are open. So some of the recipe books are open and are expressing madly, and others are shut. And there's a lot of others, everything in between. So that's the work output of the genome. That's when the genome is being expressed. The gene chip actually has a probe. It's like a 1 centimeter square silicon chip. And on that chip is the probe for every single gene in the human genome. So all 25,000 genes in one experiment, you can tell which recipe books are open and which are closed. What's the gene expression pattern? And Weinrich and Proller got together, and Proller said, you know, we can compare two biological states. We can compare young gene expression pattern, like a signature, and old. So you sort of have a genetic fingerprint for young, a genetic fingerprint for old. Let's look at the differences in gene expression. We're talking about 25,000 genes and looking at the pattern of gene expression associated with youth and age. At that point, they had the Rosetta Stone. Because now, for the first time, you can measure aging at the genetic level. So, okay, let's pause and take a deep breath. Remember that you don't have to understand all of this science. But if you're stuck in an elevator with someone and you want to tell them how cool this is, just tell them this, and you might want to write it down. We use gene chip technology so that we can measure aging at the genetic level. That really summarizes what we're doing. Maybe they don't even understand it, but it sure sounds cool, right? And it's a very complex science, and I'm trying to keep it fairly simple, but I hope you can get the gist that this is very powerful. That we have, for the first time, another soundbite, a Rosetta Stone for understanding aging in the genes. And so this kind of helps us now, because if you can measure aging at the genetic level, then you can screen for ingredients that you can see if you can change that signature back to a youthful pattern. And here's the old paradigm. Aging is inevitable. There's nothing you can do about it. You can do nothing to influence your genes. Because your genes, the DNA, that code, is fixed for life. The recipe book is written. You can't change the recipe book. The new paradigm is that there is something you can do about it. Because the expression of those genes can be influenced. You can influence which recipe book is open in the genes. The genes there. Is the recipe book opened at the right page? Do you have the right pattern of recipes open? Because there's a pattern of recipes for youth and for age. You get it? All right, so it's much more empowering. Here's another little secret. And it's related to marketing. Did you know that? You've heard of the baby boomers, right? Baby boomers basically get what they want. Anyone here a baby boomer? If you were born between 1946 and 1964, you're a baby boomer. Hands up, anyone who's a baby boomer. Yeah, most of you, right? Baby boomers get what they want. They're the ones with all the money. And basically the baby boomers have spent most of their life getting their wealth and most of their health getting their wealth. And now they're at the point where they need to spend their wealth to get their health back. And baby boomers do not want to age gracefully, right? Now, as evidence of this, when Richard Weinrich, I had a conversation with him, and I asked him, when you first started studying aging, was that a popular scientific discipline? He said, well, actually, no. There were 5 labs in the USA that were studying aging when I began studying. Now there are at least 500. Because who supplies the money for the research? It's basically, I guess, a lot of the time it's the government, but the government is pandering to the demands of the citizens, right? Baby boomers don't want to age gracefully. We're very interested in aging. But the secret is that most of the researchers who are studying aging are just doing that. They're studying descriptive biology. They're going to tell you what happens as you age and why it happens. They're going to tell you because they believe there's nothing you can do about it. As you age, everything's going to decline. Gravity is going to start working on you. Your skin will start sagging. Everything else goes downhill. Your mind is going downhill. And then eventually you die, right? But they're going to tell you how it all happens. You know, that's not what we want to hear. We want people to work on how to slow the aging process, right? And there are some people that are doing that. Weinrich and Proller are. Nu Skin is partnering with them to change the rate at which we age. And it can be done. And again, we want to go to the sources of aging, and that's why we're going as far upstream as possible. We're looking at gene expression, and this new technology has allowed us to do that. So, let's get back to basics again. What is AgeLock? It's a strategy, a platform, that targets the sources of aging, right? We can break it down into 2 easy parts. Some break it into 3. I like to break it into 2. The first step is to identify and then target age-related genes, right? Those genes that pop out of the picture, those genes that are strongly associated with aging, the gene expression patterns, we call that the youth gene cluster. First you have to identify that and then target it for your strategy. So that is the first step in AgeLock approach. The second step, now that you can measure aging at the genetic level, you've identified the youth gene cluster, is to reset it. So show that in an older individual, you can reset it to a younger pattern of expression, right? So it's 2 steps. Identify, target, and then reset. That is what AgeLock is. That's another thing that you can say in the elevator to your friend, right? Who does the work? Well, LifeGen Technologies, this company that was started by our twins, Jean-Francois Champollion. Okay? They are the ones that have patented this gene expression technology for measuring aging at the genetic level. They do the work. They've got the chips, they've got the technology. That's what they do. But there's one thing that they don't do as well as we do. At Nu Skin, we are experts in anti-aging ingredients. We have 75 scientists. We have about 30 PhDs. We've been working for many years and have a combined experience of hundreds of years in anti-aging. So when we first saw the work that LifeGen was doing, we recognized the brilliance in their technique. They have the Rosetta Stone. but they don't have the expertise in anti-aging ingredients. We have a lab in Shanghai and Beijing, where we have access to traditional Chinese medicine and strategies for anti-aging, herbs. We have chemists there, teams of chemists, that can extract those herbs that have been known for their anti-aging and longevity effects, find the fractions, and we know what concentrations to use. We know exactly which natural ingredients. So when we first saw the list in the panel that LifeGen had used, we sort of sighed and said, they're going to have to do all those experiments again, because they haven't used the right levels, they haven't picked the right isomers, the right source. But you better believe we had notebooks full of ingredients that we wanted to test in this panel. So that's what we do. We provide that expertise in anti-aging ingredients. And this approach has actually already led to the development of wonderful products. I think you're familiar with the transformation system. The first approach that we used was to look at gene expression patterns in skin. How much time do I have left? Where's my timekeeper? Anyone know how much time I have left? 20 minutes? 10 minutes? 10? I just have to know how much detail I can go into. Skin is a really cool example to use, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's just pick a gene expression pattern in the skin as you age. When you're young, you have really supple skin, right? Have you ever looked at a child's skin and been a little bit envious? Yeah, wish I could have skin like that again. No lines and wrinkles. The skin's kind of puffy and cute and smooth and radiant. And there's a reason for that. Children have the recipe books opened for collagen production. So the gene expression for collagen is turned on full. Got lots of collagen in the skin. That's the structural protein. There's another one called elastin. That's what gives skin its elasticity, right? So that it bounces back and stays in shape. And in children, do you think the expression of elastin is high? So you've got two recipe books open, two genes expressing themselves really nicely when you're young. I'll do a quick experiment with you. Hold your hand out and pinch the back of your skin like this until it almost hurts. Hold it for a second, then let go and watch how quickly the skin returns. Now I'm watching my skin and I can still see a little line there. Now it's good. Okay, when you're really young, if you go pinch your child, go find a child in the park and pinch the skin. You'll see that it goes straight back and you don't see any evidence of the pinch, except when he goes crying to his mum, right? But as you get older, you get less elastin, less collagen, and you see that it doesn't go back quite as nicely. So there's another protein that's expressed in a child, or maybe not so expressed. It's called MMP. It's like a little Pac-Man, and it breaks down collagen. Now in a child, do you think that's expressed at high levels or low levels? Low. Okay, so let's look at the genetic, just a very simple genetic fingerprint then for a child or a young person's skin. High, high, low, right? High collagen, elastin, low MMP. Now as you age, what happens to those recipe books? Start to close, or at least on those two high ones, right? So as you age, you're producing less collagen. Recipe book is starting to close. You're producing less elastin. Recipe book starting to close. What do you think is happening to MMP expression? Recipe book is starting to open. It's so cruel, isn't it? Just not fair. Right? So now you have a pattern of gene expression. High, high, low. Low, low, high. And now you've identified, and now you target those genes. Now you screen for ingredients that are going to set that back to a young expression pattern. So I've made it very simple. What we're really looking at is 25,000 genes in the skin, and looking at the pattern. Not so much worried, we don't even always understand what gene it is, but we know the fingerprint, we know the pattern. Screen for ingredients that can reset the pattern. Isn't that exciting? Right. So that's what we did on the skin, and we did a similar thing then. The next approach is, let's look at the other thing that happens as you age. You begin to look old, not so good, but you also begin to feel old. And most people say that the feeling that they get as they get older is a loss of vitality and energy, right? So the goal is to keep our cells young. And one of the first places to look is the energy level of the cell. Our cells, their energy comes from these organelles called the mitochondria. They're like little power plants in the cell. There they are, throbbing. Do you believe that we really have those in the cell? Yeah, we can see them. I'll show you a slide of some cells that were stained for mitochondria. Oops. Let's go back. Can we have that video? Right. So this is a live cell, and we use a green fluorescent dye, and you can stain the mitochondria. Can you see those guys? What's this area here? Anyone know? Nucleus, okay? No-go zone for mitochondria. But you can see the mitochondria here. And it's kind of creepy, isn't it? Because all of your cells look like this. This is a skin fibroblast cell. Those mitochondria are alive, and they're generating energy for your cells. And your whole body runs because of these things. The problem, though, is that as we age, the efficiency of the mitochondria declines. So between the ages of 30 and 60, you've already lost 40% of the energy output of those cells. Those little nuclear power plants are starting to run down. That's not a good thing, because as they run down and become less efficient, they also produce more free radicals that cause further damage. So it's a great place to start on the inside, isn't it? Let's look at the genes that control, that build and maintain the mitochondria. And it turns out that in the nucleus there are about 1,000 genes. So we focused our attention on those and looked so that we could identify the genes that change during the aging process of the mitochondria. We used the gene chip technology, and we found 52 genes. So here are the genes along here. So it's not a simple, high, low. This is actually 52 genes, and you can see that in the young, these genes are expressed at a very low level. But these genes here are expressed at a very high level. Then as you age, it flip-flops, right? You've got now the low, low, high, right? So these are all the genes that control the mitochondria. Which ingredient do you think has reset? This is ingredients that have been fed to all individuals, and now we're looking at the mitochondrial gene expression. Which one looks like young now? Number 4. I know that's really a bad luck number in Chinese. Next time I'll change that slide to number 3. But for age luck, it's a good luck number. Right? So you can see this pattern. This is an old individual with ingredients that now have been fed and give us the young gene expression pattern. That is amazing. I think you will agree. This is why we're so excited. The Nu Skin scientists. Yeah, give that a round of applause. So we're so excited. We've gone around the world and we've shared this science with other scientists. So Germany, Switzerland, Spain, California, many places we go out. This is our chance to travel the world and live it up. Enjoy the beaches in California and the bullfights in Spain. Share our science with the other scientists. The reason we do this is to get feedback from those scientists, to find out if we're on the right track, make sure that those scientists haven't found any mistakes in our work. And the overwhelming response, I told you that most aging scientists believe that you can't change it. One of the overwhelming responses that we've got from those scientists in that field is, this is really cool work. And what I like about it is that you are trying to change the aging paradigm, not just study it and describe it. So this is very exciting for us. Now, I think that we have a handout for everyone tonight. I was asked by an anti-aging society in the US to describe our strategy, which they then published in their anti-aging news, medical news. And this really outlines a lot of what I talked about tonight, but in much more detail. So if you have trouble sleeping at night, this is the perfect thing to read in bed. But many of you may have friends that are a little bit more technical and need to know the technicalities and they don't believe you. You're passionate, I don't understand what he said, but it's real science. If you don't believe me, read this. Okay, this will help. And so we'll provide that for you. And really it's an indication also that we do like to help people if they have questions. The good thing about Nu Skin is the deeper you look, the more you will find. We'll be able to answer your questions. If you go to our website, you can see a copy of this and a lot of other articles there and a list of publications that are relevant to the science. But again, you don't have to be scientists. You just have to be passionate to change lives, right? Okay. Now the next step is, all this is rather theoretical. We've changed the gene expression pattern, but does this make a difference on the functional level? So if we're testing energy, for example, a great place to start is, does it give you more stamina? So on a treadmill, does it give you the ability to run further? Here's a simple experiment. This was done with mice. Mice do love to run. We are very kind to the animals that we work with. Okay? So we give them lots of exercise and they're just treated like pets. So these guys are running on the treadmill. And these mice were trained, so they're very fit. These mice are capable of running mouse half marathons. And we found 3 that affect mitochondria. Put those together and see if they can run further and longer before getting really tired. And this is what we saw. After 5 weeks on the age-lock blend, this is how much longer they could run on a treadmill. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, another thing that you can do is measure the fuel that's in the muscle. Sort of like you have a fuel tank in the car, you can measure the fuel in the muscle. So we measured glycogen in the muscle. So here are, all these mice are athletes, right? So the control mice, these didn't exercise today. They're trained, they can run a marathon if they want to, but today's their day off. So we gave them their little remotes and they're watching the Mickey Mouse channel on TV. And then we measured how much fuel is in their muscles, and no surprise, this is a full tank right here. And these are the guys that didn't have the age-lock blend. They did their little half marathon, and at the end of the half marathon, we gave them a little Gatorade, and we measured the fuel in their muscle, and this is how much fuel they used, right? So if it's your car, it's like half a tank. They've used half a tank of fuel to run their marathon. These are the guys that took age-lock. What does that tell you? They ran just as far, but they used less fuel. Now our goal, remember, is to make the mitochondria more efficient, like a younger animal. That seems to be what we've achieved. So we've turned their old, 1998 Toyota that was blowing smoke, and now they're driving a Prius, right? It's a hybrid. Way more efficient. Here's an experiment that we did on humans. It's okay to experiment on humans, not animals, right? But humans, it's okay. Now, the brain is very sensitive to aberrations in the mitochondria. As the mitochondria start to decline, the brain then is sort of very sensitive to that. That's why one of the main symptoms of aging is forgetting things and losing your mental focus and cognition, right? Did you know I have 8 children? Yeah, I have 8 children. So that steals some brain cells. But the other thing that happens as I get older is that I mix up their names terribly. The other day I called my youngest son the same name as the dog. Yeah? And he's very offended by that. So we start to lose a little bit of focus. Obviously I need to be more religious in taking my age-lock formula. But here we did an experiment over 12 weeks using placebo and age-lock. And in this case, it was the R-squared day, right? And they were asked to do, over a 12-week period, twice a week, they had to do quite a difficult test. Lots of different exercises in the test. Some involved reaction time, how quickly can you react, decision making, press the right tab if it's yellow, and the left tab if it's red, things like that. Do it quickly, but do it accurately. Short-term memory, which word just came on the screen. So quite difficult, but over a 12-week period, you see that the people on the placebo did improve. Why is that? Is the placebo good? No, it's just practice, right? They're getting better and better. So it's always good to exercise your brain. You will get better. And over a period of time, you saw an increase. But those people that were on age-lock day, the R-squared day, look how much faster they learned, and by the end of 12 weeks, they were 20% smarter on those tests. So that indicates to me that it's working very nicely. So age-lock day, the R-squared day, is really working nicely on physical stamina and also mental cognition. And it's all related to mitochondrial function. All right. Now, a lot of people have asked me about R-squared, and I'm not supposed to tell you too much, right? But what I've shared with you is the overall strategy today, how we use the gene chip to measure aging at the genetic level, how we're able to target and identify the genes, and then screen for ingredients that can reset them to a youthful pattern. We've applied this technology to the skin and also to the energy equation of the cell. But we're not just going after energy. There are a number of things that happen in the cell as you age, and we want to retune the cell so that overall it's more healthy. I've shared with you how we did that with energy in the cell, but another very important part of the cell aging that we've targeted is cellular purification. So first of all, here are the mitochondria, and they're producing lots of energy. This is called ATP. And you can see if you watch this slide that over time, some of the mitochondria get old and don't produce as much of the ATP. So I've already described a strategy where, the recipe's in here. Gene expression the right way will actually help to rebuild healthy mitochondria. We've targeted those genes, we've reset them. Other things are going on in the cell too, though. The cell every day, every week, has to make decisions about how to purify itself, how to keep it clean. Just like you have to keep your house clean. Don't let the junk build up. Take the trash out regularly, right? The cell has to do that to stay young. And just as the mitochondria's ability declines over age, so does the ability of the cell to make those decisions about cleaning itself, renewing itself. So that's the other half of the cell youth strategy that we have targeted. So these little guys are all the sort of machinery that has to happen to purify the cell, to renew it, to make it young again. These are also guided by recipes that are found in the genome. So we have identified and targeted and then screened for ingredients that reset those gene expression patterns that are responsible for cellular purity, so that we can clean up all that junk from the cell and keep it looking young again. So, in summary, I think this is my last slide. Age-lock can measure aging at the genetic level. It involves identifying and targeting youth gene clusters and resetting those youth gene clusters, screening for ingredients that reset. We're screening for natural ingredients. We're screening for ingredients that you get from a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, but finding out which are the best ones. Looking also at traditional Chinese medicine, like some of the medicinal mushrooms, like cordyceps, right? So we're not screening drugs here. We're talking about natural ways to help to open your gene recipe books at the right pages. And finally, we're doing the work to show that when you reset those youth gene clusters, that it actually makes a functional difference. Now, there's nothing wrong with aging. We just want to age gracefully, right? Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the wives of the presidents in America a long time ago, said something very profound that I like. She said that beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. With the help of age-lock, we can remain beautiful as we age so that we can become works of art. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Mark Bartlett. I think I have never understood so much about gene expression and aging till tonight. Shall we give him another round of applause? Youthkin has once again demonstrated the difference and overwhelmed us with all the great products coming in the pipeline. We know that we will never age with Dr. Mark and his team of scientists around. Tonight, we have also invited our Live Young finalists from the recent ended TRA and age-lock contest to share with us on their experience with new skin products. Now, please join me to put your hands together to welcome them on stage. Our age-lock finalists, Miss Sarah Lam. Coming up next, with our H-Block finalist, Miss Margaret Chu. TRA finalist, Mr. Evan Yo. TRA finalist, Miss Kelly Cheng. TRA finalist, Mr. Matthew Tan. Last but not least, Miss Lam Ga-yen, TRA finalist. Now I will invite our finalists to share with us all their H-Block and TRA experience.
Hello， 大家晚上好，我是 Grace， 谢谢大家给我这个机会上台分享TRA。其实我从小到大都是胖胖的，尤其是下半身一直都觉得自己瘦不下来。可是今年通过 TRA，我竟然在短短的3个月瘦了11公斤。所以其实只要通过适当的运动，再加上均衡的饮食，这整个过程一点都不辛苦。所以最后我要谢谢介绍 TRA 给我的指明，谢谢他带给我的推动力。有了健康体魄，真的会感到很有自信和快乐。谢谢大家。
Hi, good evening everyone. I'm Matthew Tan. I'm a PE teacher, but 3 months ago, if you see me, I don't look like one. Because I actually put on about 10 kg over the past year through improper diet. And actually one day my student asked me, how come fat people can become PE teacher? So it was quite embarrassing. And then later my colleague Alfred, he introduced me to TRA. And after 3 months, I managed to lose 11.3 kg without much exercise and not starving, right? So it was a really fantastic result. And not only did I regain my healthy body, I also regained my confidence. And I want to thank my sponsor, Alfred, and as well as New Skin for having this wonderful product. Thank you.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Kelly。我要在此分享我的瘦身过程。从小我就是有肥胖问题，到近几年就越长就越大。后来1年前，Kim 介绍了我的 TRA， 可是我婉拒了它，因为我觉得自然是可以瘦下来的。可是1年后我还是没有成功，我决定参加 TRA。3个月后，我成功瘦下10 kg 和7.5公斤的 body fat， 还有增加了我的 muscle， 还有metabolism rate。我要感谢他们，感谢 New Skin 给我这样好的一个 TRA 产品，让我瘦下来，还有开始了我的如新的事业。谢谢大家。
Hello, good evening. My name is Evan Yo. Is it true that kilos and years go hand in hand? But not anymore. 5 months ago, I was introduced to this fantastic product called TRA by my sister, Rosie. She's sitting down there. So with TRA and the healthy 3-3-3-3 diet, I managed to get rid of all the kilos and the spare tire that was with me for many, many years. And to become what I am now. So after 3 months plan, I managed to lose 16.5 kilo, and following that I lost some more. In fact, I lost more than that. So I do investment like stock and share, but TRA is the best investment I ever made. So, thank you TRA, thank you New Skin.
Good evening everyone, I'm Margaret. Thanks to New Skin, have a chance to let me to share my story here. After I gave birth to my second daughter, due to hormone imbalance, my face skin conditions got worse. The freckles become very obvious and acne and pimples getting more and more on the face. I spent almost 2 years to looking for a solution. And I spent total 16,000 on the face treatments, but the problems remains. By then, I was being introduced H-Lock. So, no hand for trying, right? I decided to have a last try. Amazingly, I really see the results. By then, about 1 week, 2 weeks, I can see the changes is very fast, and now my skin conditions are getting better and better. And most important thing, I regain my self-confidence. I really thanks the New Skin, really transformed my life. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah. Look at myself. This is a photo that I will never show to anyone, but my upline put it up, so it's scary. The way I describe my relationship with H-Lock, as I said, it's a relationship and it's a love affair. Why do I say that? It's not love at first sight, because when I first saw H-Lock transformation, I thought it was too simple. I used to use like 8 to 9 bottles of whatever. I slap it on. I'm very diligent with my skincare because I have actually very dry and eczema skin. So to me, it's something that simple is not going to work. But when it was being introduced by Blue Diamond Pat, her skin was flawless. And I said, okay, there must be something in there. And so that was how my journey started. I slapped it on and I said, the cleanser feels good, and I did not have any stingy effect. So after that, I started to use the moisturizer, and I feel like, hey, my skin is breathing. It doesn't have that oily feeling on me. And it's soon people were telling me, hey, you look different. Your skin is not down. Your lines are less. Actually, I don't like to look at myself. But when they say that, I started to observe myself and I see that the lines was beginning to get really faint, and I was really happy. And I realized that, hey, I'm not too bad looking after all. So I want to thank H-Lock, I want to thank New Skin, because just like when you find a good partner, he brings the best out of you, and that's what H-Lock has done for me. So H-Lock, you are my Valentine. Thank you.
Thank you to all TRA and H-Lock finalists. Shall we give them a final round of applause? I believe we are all inspired with their sharing, and I encourage everyone in this room to take the Live Young Challenge with TRA and H-Lock. So start living young today and become the next Live Young superstar of New Skin Singapore. I hope you have learned a lot from Dr. Mark Bartlett and be motivated by all our Live Young testimonial, and submit your TRA and H-Lock testimonial to me and our marketing team. We will make you the next superstar of New Skin Singapore. So take action now to help yourself and many others that you met along the way, to help them to live young and longer. Thank you for your time and good night. Please help me to fill in the feedback form so that we can all learn how to serve you better in our next workshop. Thank you and good night.